Well, hello out there. Welcome to the Heart Connection. My name is Mike Preston. I'm here on behalf of Rock from the Heart. I am a aortic dissection survivor, which is my connection to Rock from the Heart. I about 6 years ago had a major incident that I am so very fortunate to have survived. For among other reasons, I got to meet all these wonderful people at Rock from the Heart. And tonight I'm with a couple of them that I have met, John and Diane. We're going to have a little discussion here about all things heart related. Let's give a little shout out. John, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, absolutely. So my name is John Toivonen, and myself and Diane have been, kind of the leaders of this podcast, Heart Connection, and we've been on a little break and hiatus, and that's what we're here to talk about a little bit today too, is the continuation of my journey, because one of the things that we talked about and what we were passionate about was this is a show about survivors for survivors, right? Things that happen after the fact, all the things that come, the pomp and circumstance that comes with after the surgery, right? So now we're getting into my latest health issues, which I'll get into in a moment. But aortic dissection survivor here, 3-time open heart surgery survivor, twice had a sleeve and a valve replaced, faked parts, and then back to cadaver parts. And now we're in a new journey. So I'll let Diane get into her introduction though first before we get into it.
Hey everybody, I'm Diane Bishop. You all know me. I am the co-host of the Heart Connection. Heart Connection. But anyhow, and I do all the other works aside. As many of y'all know, I also have Aortic Health Unlimited that customize specially designed care packages to newly dissected patients and survivors, and also work with Rock from the Heart. And this is where I met these two beautiful people that are dear to my heart. Now, I do want to say that's one thing whenever you attend a Rock from the Heart event, you get to meet and connect people, and you have a connection, a heart connection. And today or tonight, it's going to be difficult for me because we're talking about someone close to my heart, and that is my dear friend John. And he's real dear to my heart, and we want to follow John in his journey, be there, support him. But I'm going to let him talk about something that he's going through, and maybe some of you could relate. But this is a reason why we were a little bit backlog on pause with the podcast. But we have a situation that come up, and we want John to share with us. And how me and you connected. And
Right.
I know I should have bought some clean. Well, I'll use this. But anyhow, the situation that you had went through, and you had explained of a situation that has come up. And can you tell us about a bump in the road that's happened after your last event that you had? What was your very last event that led us to this?
So I know in the fall, all this stuff trying to be figured out, and all of the health issues that I've had over the course of the last year, I've had lots of ups and downs, and finally we're to a spot where we know that we have a correction, we have a solution that's going to take us to the next level, and that is a heart transplant. And I'm not sure if you guys can hear me or not, because
We can.
my
Good.
connection is
Yes,
terrible all of a sudden. Hold on, let me try that. Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
I hear you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay. I keep losing you. So I'm going to turn off my camera. I'm not at my house. I'm in a terrible location apparently with Wi-Fi. So I'm just going to try to go with as much as I can here. So I didn't realize it was going to be this bad. So I just turned off, and I'm actually going to get some stuff in the background closed. So, okay. So with all the illness that I've dealt with over the last actually 3 years, after my last surgery, it really did a lot of damage to the right side of my heart, even more. my initial surgery, I had a lot of damage on that right side. And then this last time, it just really, I was on ECMO and it really damaged it a lot. So I'm in the advanced stages of heart failure. My right side of my heart is barely pumping at this point in time. My tricuspid valve is barely even lifting the leaflets up. I mean, it's like this at this point in time. Severe regurgitation. My mitral valve is the same way. And my heart can't survive or stand another open heart surgery. So the only option now is a heart transplant. And so I found out on a Thursday that I was going to need a heart transplant. And by Monday evening, I was sitting in the middle of the woods in Canada hunting bears. And that's how much time I had to prepare myself for that news before I went on this trip with my uncle that had been planned out for months and months. And it's been a real emotional roller coaster and a ride since I found out, because we knew this was coming. We knew this was going to be a long time coming. We just didn't know when. And the T word was thrown out before, the transplant word, but then it went away for a while. But now it's back, and it's back in full force. And so I'm in the process at Abbott Northwestern in Minneapolis, the Minneapolis Heart Institute. And for singular transplants, they're one of the best in the state of Minnesota. That's including the Mayo Clinic and the University of Minnesota. So it's a great place. It's where I had my last surgery. So.
And just to get a little background, John, when was your initial dissection? How long ago was that?
So that was October 23rd of 2019 is when I had my dissection. And that was a type A dissection. It was actually the kind that is, they really call it the unsurvivable kind. It really was perfect timing that I'm here. And then my last surgery, I also think that they didn't really think I was going to make it out of that one either. And here I am. And now I'm needing a heart transplant. And the craziest part is I'm the best I've felt in 6 years right now.
And that's kind of to my point, that this is going on 7 years for you now, with an initial miracle of surviving, as what myself as well. One of my surgeons, I'll never forget him telling me that most people don't make it to the operating table that when they have what I had. So, okay, this is a miracle. This is all bonus round stuff. You're going on 7 years. You've had, like you said, several surgeries. One miracle after another. They do some amazing things. And now you're facing a transplant. And I don't want to minimize that at all. That's a huge deal, obviously. But you have every reason in the world to be optimistic because of everything you've been through so far and all the, obstacles you conquered. It's just, a lot to be grateful for. It's an amazing time we live in.
Yeah. And the amount of information that I've learned about transplant in the last month, it is just unbelievable how much I've learned.
Well,
I mean,
can you share some of that? Because I know nothing about
absolutely. And I knew nothing before I went into this. I just knew they took your old one out and put a new one in. That's about all I knew. Right?
Sounds simple.
Yeah, it's like the old carpet salesman. The only reason why he sold carpet is because he knew it was fuzzy side up, right? So same thing with me. I don't know much about it, but here we go.
I hope your doctors have a little more knowledge in that.
They do. So this is an entire process that I've never been through before. I mean, I'm talking with doctors, insurance, everyone. So at our initial appointment with my heart failure doctor, he said, I saw your numbers. And actually he came in looking at me strange. And he goes, you don't look like your numbers do. And I said, no, I feel great. He goes, this is strange. Like you don't look at all like you should be where you're at. And it's a testament of just the my health that I've worked on hard since last November when I found out I was diabetic, So I said, it's time to change. Well, it's helping me in this process that I feel so good because the one downside and the first thing that I learned about heart transplant is that they don't just schedule the surgery for next weekend. You have to be extremely sick. So they rate it on a scale from 1 to 7. Okay. So from 1 to 7. So I'm at what they call a 7 right now. And the different levels just get you that much closer. Where you get on the list is usually somewhere between 4 and 3. And then when you actually get transplanted, it's more like you're a 2 or a 1, which a 1 is in the ICU on ECMO and not awake.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's that's the
Kind
one
of a
thing that
countdown process.
it's all yeah, and I don't really know when it's going to happen, and I don't think they do either. I mean, we
Right.
can track it with the numbers possibly, but I mean, really, when it comes down to it, and I've really prepared my family and everybody around me, you're going to see me get really sick, and it's going to be really hard. And
And
I've
that's a
been,
necessary part of the procedure, you're saying?
Right.
it happens with everyone.
Okay.
Yep, because they want to make sure that that you're to a point where you need the transplant. Not saying that people come out of it, but you never know, right? I mean, so they want to make sure that it's time and that you're in the hospital ready to go. So this, getting the phone call at 4 a.m. saying get to the hospital, it's not as realistic as you think. I mean, sometimes it might happen depending on the scenario, because more stuff that I learned is they need to match a heart with you, right? It's not just throwing a new engine in. They're not gonna put a heart for somebody that's 4'9" in me, or 4'2", or
Really?
7'2". I'm 5'9", so there's definitely like a physical aspect to it too.
Well, all new to me. Different
It
size
is,
hearts.
and
Mm-hmm.
this is, what we're going to learn today is probably scratching the surface. I mean, this could really be probably a 10-part series with all the stuff that's
It
going on.
needs to
Plus,
be.
exactly,
We're not
and
going to
that's what we
cover all
just
this.
yeah, exactly. That's what we discussed.
Mhm.
We don't want to stay
Yes.
here for 3 hours and talk about it.
No.
But you know what? A good half hour, 45 minutes, and then we'll have to do it again. But you know what?
Right.
Amy from Rock from the Heart has said, "Yep, we got to do that." And I really want to get this
Mhm.
story out because I have the ability to share it, and I want to make sure that people know the information. So,
Yeah.
and it's just it's a whole, like I said, it's a whole new thing. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're essentially living on standby.
yes.
What is your daily life like now? And what are you doing these days?
So not much has changed except for the thought process a little bit, right? So
Really?
I still have treated myself and my body the exact same way. Okay. So I've, dialed in my nutrition and my diet. I'm also have to watch, because I'm in heart failure. I'm supposed to watch water intake. I'm supposed to watch sodium intake. I
Mhm.
also am on a lot of diuretics because of my mitral valve regurg. There's like, it's almost a domino effect with, most people even, but with myself right now, it's just,
You have
it's
to keep
this,
everything
but
in
it's this.
Mhm.
balance.
Oh, it's a constant. So like I'm very in tune with not only how I feel, but also when I get labs done and when I get tests done and stuff. If I know and have had the test before, I can usually read it and get a gauge of where I'm at without hearing from the doctor first, knowing that I should be worried, not worried, things like that, or things I need to work on. So like,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, for example, a couple weeks ago, I had low sodium. I didn't realize that when you have your low sodium level in your body, you could seize out and die. And I was close to being. They wanted me to go to the ER. I was at a sodium level of 123, which normal range is like 135 to 145.
Mhm.
So I had to adjust a little bit there, right? A little bit less water, a little bit more sodium, try to get that up, and now I've corrected that. That's Diane.
John, I have a question. Okay.
Absolutely.
You talk, babe, about you went on this trip, and I spoke to you when you gotten back, and of course, your boy Rick wanted to talk to you and make you smile. But you're telling us right now of the stuff how it came to where you had to have a heart transplant.
Yep.
I want to get raw right now and tell me, baby, what when you were alone in that tree stand, like you told me, what went through your head?
Oh, that's an
Let's get
excellent
with it.
question. That's an
Get with
excellent
it, baby.
question. I had 7 to 8 hours by myself in the middle of the woods with no cell phone service, just me and bears. And that's it.
Really?
And it
And
was
one of them,
bears.
and it was bear, and one of them tried to
Yes.
crawl it, one of them trying to climb in the tree with me.
Yep.
Really?
And it was exhilarating and fun, and I highly recommend it sometime.
Yeah, well, we'll get right on that.
The best part is that if you're in a bear stand and they're creeping up on you, they're curious. If they come at you aggressive, you're not going to have time to know whether or not they're curious. So
Let me tell
that's the beautiful
if
I
part
I'm
of
ain't
in a
it.
waiting
bear
for none
stand
of it.
and they're
Yeah.
creeping up on me, something has gone horribly wrong in my life. I will just say that right now. That's not in the cards for me. That
Mm-mm.
you do you, I'll do
Yeah.
me. But
I
You
ain't
know,
waiting either.
did you tell your doctor? He tells you you've got a heart condition. Well, I'm going to go be among bears. Maybe that'll
Yes.
scare me
Yes.
straight.
So I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to go because my appointment was Thursday. And like I said to my doctor, I said, so I can go bear hunting in Canada then? And he goes, why would you want to do that? And I said, because it's fun. He said, go ahead. Like almost like annoyed that I asked, which
Yeah,
is kind of funny. But
I guess they don't warn you that's dangerous.
right, exactly. But you know what? I had a great group of guides that have been guiding for years and years and years. And they said that was the meeting when we started this. By the way, you will have a bear crawl in your stand with you. You'll have one try to crawl in your stand. This is what you need to do. And I even had the guide tell me, you have to experience this. You have to. And I did, and I loved it. And I got it on video. So
You
that's the
did.
best part. It's on my Facebook page. It's
It
all
is.
over. So if
You know,
people, and we could share
I'm
it to Rock
hearing
from the Heart too.
I'm here in Woodstock, Illinois, and in my apartment complex, we had a roving band of wild turkeys for a while, and they were
Yep.
like charging at cars, and that kind of freaked me out.
Yeah, their
The
turkeys are
bear
nasty.
thing, I don't need that, But again, you do you. That's great, man. That is
Exactly.
wonderful.
So kind of back to Diane's question of like, tell me the raw stuff.
Give it
Yeah.
to me.
Like again, I had 7 hours to be by myself. I laughed. I bawled my eyes out. I asked why. And then I said, it's got to be me. I asked why it's me. And then I said, it's got to be me because, I feel like I'm strong enough. But I found out lately that maybe I'm not as strong as I think I am. I've had a lot of breakdown moments, a lot. And
Well,
that's the emotional part of it. That's the raw part of it.
you are human at the end of the day.
Exactly.
But
We all are,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that you just you can't prepare for that type of
no,
situation.
no.
And
And absorbing it is a whole other. I mean, you talk about being in the moment. One of the things I found as a survivor is that it focuses you on
yeah,
not taking anything for granted. For me, anyway, not taking
Yep.
anything for granted.
Yeah.
This is all borrowed time. This,
Yep.
I don't know when my number is up. In the years since I've had my dissection, I've had several friends die. Who did
Yeah.
not have the problems that we've had. So
right.
you really don't know, and I gather a new appreciation for the little things, and
Right.
it forces me into a constant state of reflection on life. And yeah, but and again, I'm not going through what you're going through. I don't claim to be, but you do seem focused and aware at this point.
Yes, and I try to share all that emotion on social media too. Like I said
Yeah.
before we started, I'm not an influencer by any means, but I want to tell my story, and you cannot believe how many people have messaged and texted me. People that I've known for years, people that I don't know, people that I haven't connected with for years, that are like, thank you for sharing your information, because we didn't know, or this is some really good stuff that we want to know more. And so that's when we started talking, and like, hey, maybe we should talk about this more on the podcast. And so I'm trying to do videos every day. Now I've been on hiatus for a few days because I wanted to get through this, because I wanted to, talk about what we have to talk about here. But I mean, it's such a different life. For example, like last night, and it's amazing how things work. And I'm going to tell this story about last night. Last night, we were actually supposed to do this last night, and I had something come up, and then afterwards, we decided to go out to dinner in town in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, where I live. And I wanted to go to one place, and one place wasn't open, and I was kind of irritated because they were supposed to be open until 7 and they weren't. And I was like, whatever. Well, my wife just started a new job at a healthcare facility, assisted living facility, as a dining manager. And her boss came in to town that she met for the first time, and they connected because his daughter has a bicuspid valve, and she has heart issues, and now she's getting closer to having that open heart surgery. She's 11 years old. So they connected, and she told him about my story. Well, come to find out, the place we went to eat, he was just leaving from there. So I got to meet him. He's got my phone number. I told him, I've mentored people. I've done a podcast. I've had people mentor me. I said, anything that you are willing to talk about, I'm willing to talk about. I said, so please feel free to reach out to me. And then, so that was just an excellent connection right there. I was like, I felt good about being there. But then we go in, we eat, and we're sitting down, and then we saw an old friend that we used to see all the time at a gym we used to work out at. Very kind of close-knit group of people. It's a different setting than just like, swiping your badge. It's like classroom setting, the trainers very well, all that kind of stuff. And the people you work out with, you get to know. Well, I got to know this guy's wife very well because she was in one of my classes that I would go to. And she had, I want to say two or three kidney transplants and a liver transplant and all sorts of health issues.
Wow.
And from nothing other than her body was just failing her. Well, she ended up passing away a few years ago, and I really miss her because she was the sweetest lady. And and when we saw him last night, he said, and I'm going to get emotional here. He said, he's talking. He said, I still go out to dinner with my mother-in-law. In fact, she's with me tonight. And he waved her over. And this was this gal's mom. And apparently, she lost her daughter and her husband within 4 months of each other. And this lady was upbeat and bubbly, and she was just it was so great to be in her presence, even just the energy she had. And when she came up to the table, this friend of ours, Tom, he introduced her to my wife and said she used to own Toivo's Restaurant, which is a restaurant we used to own in Grand Rapids. And the gal said, thank you. I used to eat there, and I know Val. Well, Val Toivonen was my mom. And I said, oh, that's my mom. And she said, oh, I went to quilting things together with her. And so we talked about quilting. I said, I still have pictures of her in front of the Lagenbrunner or Lagenbrunner or whatever basket that is. The quilting. It's a quilting company that literally built their building to look like a quilting basket. It's just crazy. So these women geek out about it, and men, and they travel the world for this stuff. So we're talking about that, and then Tom tells her, John has a story going on. He needs a heart transplant. She dropped her head, walked around the table, and said, come here, I'm a hugger. And she gave me this big hug, and she said, bless your heart, bless you. I'm praying for you. And I said, I miss your daughter. I wish she was here so I could talk to her about this. Because she went through the transplant process, not the heart, but other stuff. And it's just like, that's the connections we make, That's the connections that we make every day. and then I make every day. And that's why I do this. And that's why I'm getting my message out there, because I want to have those connections with people. And it's not about money. It's not about, fame or anything like that. It's none of it. It's about helping others, because I
It's
know
about
where I
making
was at.
sense out of it.
Exactly.
You're in a unique position to share with people an experience that most people never
Right.
have gone through and never will go through. But there's a few
Exactly.
out there who need what you've got to share. So you're
Yep.
able to do it. And what a gift that you're doing that instead of, oh, poor me, isolating.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Thank
Thank
you for
the other
sharing
way.
it.
Oh, absolutely. And you guys can attest to this too. As heart patients, people with dissections, all three of us, there was when all of us had our dissections, there was not a lot of information out there. There really wasn't. Organizations like Rock from the Heart, Aortic Health Unlimited, they have done the groundwork to get this out there. And now we're making headway and steam, and people are learning more and more about this. Well, now there's a new avenue, heart transplant, right? So now there's a whole new world of people that I've met, a whole new world of issues and thoughts and things that I never thought about that I can and can't do anymore. I mean, my limitations are it's insane. It's insane the things you think about that I won't be able to do after heart transplant.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. But and while we're kind of on this subject, I want to ask both of you about your immediate support system. With you talked about extended, but family and friends, I found they go through almost more than I went through. Because when my whole problem started, all I did was lay back on a stretcher and let the doctors do whatever they did, and then do whatever they tell me and rehab and all that stuff, and just follow instructions. But the family's going through a whole other
Right.
circus of, is he going to make it? Is he not going to make it? What do we do for him? What can we do for him? We can't do anything for him, which is the worst. They feel terrible about that. So that they need support too. So John and Diane, both tell me about your family and friends and how they interact with your issues.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have an excellent support group. My wife she's my rock. She's my left hand. She's my right hand. She's my everything. And my kids have been active in kind of like what is going on with me too. They know everything. I tell them everything. I'm
How old
honest
are your
with them.
kids?
I have a 19-year-old, two 19-year-olds, and a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old. And they're all girls. And so they're,
the
and
best.
and just the best. And I absolutely love it. And they're just sweethearts. And
Did we lose you?
I'm still here. Can you hear me? Oop.
Yeah.
I lost me. You can hear me? Okay.
So Diane, do you want to tell us about your? Oh, she's back.
Yeah. Oh, well, my support system is great too. One thing that my husband to this day still does, and I say to this day because I also have lupus and I'm like a roller coaster. And even sometimes with that word dissection, you look okay, but you're not. But my husband literally sometimes tells me he'll check, and for the longest, see if I'm breathing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And if I jump all of a sudden, he'll wake me up. And uh it was that right there, it's like your caregiver, your other party, they go through so much. And like what you said, Mike, we are the patients and we're having people take care. But can you imagine the psychological thing that went through? Like my husband, he was thinking, oh my God, like, I don't know how to do this. What am I going to do? Uh, and that's an interesting segment that we need to do at one time. Check on the perspective of a caregiver side.
Mhm.
I would like to dig into that and get the raw aspect of that. But I mean, still sometimes Rick will sit there, there's days like Sunday I came home, I went to bed at 4 o'clock, didn't wake up to the following day till it was like 3 in the afternoon, and are you okay? But yeah, they go through a lot. They go
Yes.
through so much, and not just that, but out of something that had happened at this last event of Rock from the Heart, and it tore me up. It tore a lot of people up when John's daughter spoke,
Oh,
and we got to listen from her side. There wasn't a dry eye there, and
no,
that
there
was
wasn't.
I mean, it's very, very emotional, and that's why events like Rock from the Heart is important because you get to meet other people, you get to know their feelings. If I haven't have met other people, I'll think something's wrong with me. But
Yeah.
information and knowledge is so powerful, and sharing is so powerful. And another reason I'm like John, I love to give. I'm a giver, and I'm gonna tell you, when I'm 19 years, I'm going on 20 years survivor,
Hey,
and the
Heck
reason why I
yeah.
do, I it took me dying to start living, if that makes
yeah.
any sense.
Oh, it does to
And
me.
yes, and I
Absolutely.
tell everybody out there, don't wait till it's too late. And it's
Yeah.
hard. I know it's hard sometimes to not let things bother you so much and don't matter, but at the end of the day, you got to what really matters and what counts. And
Yeah.
I mean, and I thank every day that I got to meet John. We got this cool things going.
Mhm.
We're close. I'm close with his family, and um, and I'm so grateful, John, for you sharing everything with us. And baby, we're walking with you. Okay,
Oh, I know. I feel it every day.
we're walking with you.
I know that everyone is on my side and rooting for me. That's the best part about this, is it? And that's what keeps me going, right?
Yes,
It's what gets you, it's what gets you out of the right side of the bed every morning.
right.
I mean, you guys know as much as anyone with heart surgeries and things like that. There's a lot of times where you can feel really alone,
Oh
and
yeah.
where you think that you're the only one that understands yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times that's the truth. And
Yeah.
connecting with other people like this, like
Right.
minds, not only in the aspect of how you're treating your survival, but also just the fact that you survived something that was so traumatic for your body, for your mind, everything, and you're able to still get up every day and perform your duties like it's normal,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
You have to go back to life. Life doesn't end
No.
just because you have a crappy heart, right? It don't
Mm-hmm.
end.
Yes.
Like, it's still got to continue. And that's it. And I think pushing on rather than just sitting in my chair and
Mm-hmm.
wasting away, which I was at one point in time because my health was not good. I
Right.
was I've been I've hid my health very well for the last 3+ years, but I have been
Mm-hmm.
really sick. And I actually feel good for once. And then you get this news. Hey, I know you feel great, but you're gonna feel even worse. Just wait.
Mm-hmm.
I got something new for you.
Well, before we move on, you prompted a memory for me there, John, when you talked about being alone. And we were talking about our extended family and support groups and stuff like that. When I had my initial dissection, it was during COVID. So I spent a month in the hospital and rehab
Oof.
without being allowed visitors. So I was pretty alone. And
Oh,
everybody I saw had a mask. I saw eyes most of the
oh
time.
yeah.
Lovely eyes sometimes, but just eyes. So I was very alone. But I always feel obligated to give a shout out and a big thank you to hospital staff, the nurses'
Oh
aides, the
yes.
nurses, the doctors, everyone. I don't know what your experience was like, but mine was phenomenal in that
Yeah.
I might have not been around my family and friends, but these people, they lifted my spirits. They took care of my every need when I could not do anything for
Mm-hmm.
myself. They did it all, and without grumbling and complaining. They were just, they were angels, literally angels. So was your experience similar?
100%, 100%. I had a great experience. Not only it was kind of crazy after my last surgery, my doctor, my surgeon, who was in the surgery for 20 plus hours. That's how long I was under. And he was there the whole time. And
20 hours.
20 hours. And he would come into the office every morning and he would actually walk by my room on the regular heart level once I was out of the ICU. And every morning he would come by and he would come in and he'd set his computer bag down, cross his arms, and just, how you doing today? And just chat with me. And that was a real moment. I mean, this guy could have a God complex. He performs miracles, and rightfully so. He could be, put himself on a pedestal. And that's just the way my care team has been ever since I started this whole process. Everyone has been so great. And if they haven't, they got fired. And it's really not a hard requirement. I tell every nurse and everyone that I have, I said, I have 2 requirements: listen to me and be nice. That's it. That's all you got to do. It's simple.
Yeah, that's great. Diane, your experience similar?
Do you want to hear really what it was at the beginning?
Sure.
At the very beginning, because mine was all of a sudden to where I was 0 to 1%. They didn't even know I was going to make it to UAB hospital. My true experience, I'm a spiritual and I have so much strong faith and stuff. I was okay with it. What broke me down was during recovery. I went through the 5 stages of grieving, the death process, and I was angry at one point. And I'm sure at one point at the beginning, maybe John might have felt a sense of anger when people had to bathe me or dress me, or I had trouble walking or getting up or coughing. Oh my God, my ribs. I went through the time, and I'm being totally honest. I went through the time to where I told my husband, God didn't do me no favors.
Oof.
And I wanted to end it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to end it at one time many years ago. But you know what? I have grown, I've learned, and this has taught me so much. What made me so small, I've risen above, and I deal with so much, but it is in almost dying to where I feel like I truly know how to live. I'm living better than what I was before, and I'm actually happier. I know it's crazy, Diane. How can you be happy and all this? You're doing this. I still have to have my aorta still dissected from the arch to the groin, and I still have an aneurysm, 4.9 centimeter. I'm living with lupus every day. How can you be happy? I can't see nothing really bad, and I don't like people being but mean to each other and stuff. And I mean, I don't know if it makes any sense. Maybe somebody out there watching
Just
this
to
will sit
us.
there, damn, she said it right.
Yeah, you
Went
did.
through
You
anger.
really did.
Just on a side note, I know we're talking about heart issues, but I don't know much about lupus. Can you just give us like a brief overview? My understanding is that there's a lot of fatigue involved. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Lupus can just affect your skin. Well, you see people with butterfly rashes.
Okay.
But there's a lot of fatigue. You get marks on your skin. And the other one, which is systemic lupus erythematosus, if I'm saying it correct, affects your organ. And I have a lot of trouble. I've been having a lot of kidney problems, and I've been talking about lupus a lot on my page because a lot of people didn't know that I had it. And I have trouble walking as far as my hips, because I'm in pain with my hip and my joints. It's the painful, it's almost like fibromyalgia type as far as your muscle and joints. But that's why I walk funny. And I used to get teased in school. She walks like a duck. Well, okay, quack, quack, love me or hate me, but I'm here, quack, quack. But
This is what you get.
it's hard, and I get tired sometimes. I'll get so tired and I'll just sleep. And a lot of fatigue, trouble eating, and trouble with my kidneys. I dealt with hospital about 2-3 weeks ago, in and out. was released, and I came back home and I collapsed on the kitchen floor, and I was taking the UAB, and that's when they found out that I have a pulmonary embolism,
Mm,
blood clot that went from my leg and is now in my lungs. So, I mean, it's hard to decipher what is actually causing it. So I just take a step at a time and deal with it.
Yeah,
I do the best that I can, and I'm thankful,
doing
that
great.
Ricky understands.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, you're doing great.
Thank you
Well,
guys
and
so much.
and you've talked about it, and John talked about it. Uh, I think a big part of the reason that we seem to be doing great is because of the service we're doing and carrying the
Right.
message and getting it out
Yep.
to people.
It
And you
does.
both very much seem to have a purpose in life these days.
Yeah.
Not that
Mhm.
you didn't before, but it's kind of a very unique calling at this point that you're
Yeah.
passing on what you've learned. And John, I know you talked about the adjustments. You both talked about the adjustments you have to make, and you're going to have to make more with your transplant too. I always tell people, I retired after my health problems. I was on disability because I couldn't work anymore.
Sure.
And my job now is taking care of myself. It's a full-time
Mhm.
gig. I go to more
Yes.
doctor's appointments than I ever did.
Yep.
Before this all happened, I didn't go to the doctor. I didn't need to. Now I need to stay on top of all these things like you've talked about.
Mhm.
And it's a full-time gig, and it's very time consuming, as both of you know. But at the end of the day, what a gift, to be able to be here and to pass on what we've
Right.
learned. You both, I mean, John's, if I get anything out of your message, it's keep living. You
Oh
get told
yeah.
you need a heart transplant. Well, I better go hunt bears now then, before I
Yeah.
can't. I don't recommend that to everybody, but
Mm-mm.
and Diane, you're obviously, you're dealing with heart issues and lupus fatigue, and you're still kind of a dynamo, so it's
Oh yeah.
is it the Clint Eastwood line, or is that Shawshank? Get busy living or get busy dying?
Yeah, it's
That's
Shawshank.
it.
Yep.
Shawshank, yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, so
Mhm.
true. And
It,
yeah, it's not all good, but it is all good,
Mhm.
it is, and and I know everyone's probably done this, but you've always you have asked yourself, why me? Why me?
Right.
Well, you can't ask that question. You got to go, okay, basically, why not me? I'm strong enough. I can handle this. I can handle it mentally. I can handle it physically. So let's take the burden off somebody else and let's get it
Mhm.
done. Not that I want these issues. I don't want a new heart. I like my heart. I'm kind of
Mhm.
connected to it, right? But
Mhm.
but no matter what, like I would much rather go through this than anyone in my family. I just
Mhm.
and like you've said, there's such a great support system, and there's just nothing right now that is telling me that I don't want to be here anymore.
Oh.
I mean, it's you think that you have a rock bottom moment because every it seems like every time I've gone to the doctor in the last 4 years, it's never been good news. It's just always bad news after bad news, or oh, now we might have to do this. I mean, I had a I had a scare with that I might need a liver transplant too.
Really.
Yeah, I actually had a MRE, an MR elastography to because they were looking at my liver because I was having liver issues and gallbladder issues and things like that. And my numbers were kind of weird and wonky, but my GI doctor, that's another thing. When you have all these issues, you have several different. You don't have just a main doctor. You have cardiologists. You have a cardiology
Mhm.
PA. You have a GI doctor. You have mental health doctors. You have all this stuff, right? So my GI doctor is very in tune with what I got going on. Very experienced. He's been around the game for 30 plus years. And I had this test done, and it came back as the results. And I saw them before I got to speak to him. And it said, I have stage F4 advanced cirrhosis. We knew that I was loosely diagnosed with cardiac cirrhosis. Because a part with the heart failure, especially with the right side, it directly affects the liver. It backs up all that fluid in there and damages it. But I read this and I freak out, and I'm standing next to the Coke and Sprite Zero in Costco when I find this out. So I'm bawling my eyes out. Well, after I had let's just wait till the doctor says something. Sure enough, he came back and said, yes, this is what it says. However, that test, it can be sensitive. There's a lot of things that can trigger it, and there's a lot of things that can make it look different. And it's still not the 100%. The 100% is getting a biopsy. Well, we don't want to do a biopsy because of the infection risk. High infection risk when you biopsy organs. And that's not something this is why we're in this problem in the first place, or the third place, I should say, is because I got an infection in my heart and I had to have those mechanical parts taken out and have cadaver parts put in. So now we're to the point where no, you can't have another infection. And so based off the numbers, he looks at the numbers and looks how I feel and says, they are not consistent with your testing. Let's talk again in August at our appointment. We'll get labs again, go from there. And so that's where we're at with that. So there's another scare that just went. Finally, some good news that I don't have to switch hospitals because Abbott doesn't do double transplants. The leader in that is the University of Minnesota. That's where the first heart transplant ever happened. Was right there at the University of Minnesota. And they are a premier double transplant unit there. Like, they have a very high, and it's amazing the success rate with transplant, especially heart transplant. It's between 85 to 95% survival rate in the first year.
Nice.
And then after that, after 5 years, 10 years, it gets down in the 60s and 50s. But really, if you make it to that 5 years, that's the key. And even dissection. I remember that. Dissection was 5 years. Well,
right.
I made it 4. I made it 4, and I had to do that last surgery. So that 5 years was right out the window for me. So now I got another milestone.
Isn't it funny that we've all gotten a medical education we never wanted? I mean, I'm hearing you toss around these terms that I didn't know there was such a thing as cardiac cirrhosis. And
exactly.
when I had my problem, what's an aorta? I don't know. They had to show me a cartoon drawing of it. That's an aorta. It's just stuff I never wanted to learn that we've had to learn on the fly and hopefully pass along accurately. So you're doing a great job of that.
Well, thank you. And that's what I'm doing, is just regurgitating the information that I've either learned or read, because they gave me a lot of literature to read too. And then plus just looking at it on my own. I mean, they always tell you don't look at Dr. Google, but Dr. Google gives you a basis, right? I mean, I'm pretty realistic when it comes to it, that if I Dr. Google it, I'm not gonna have the nasty disease that it says, but at least I can pinpoint what the symptoms are doing, So it's something that you have to learn. You can't, if you want to be a successful patient, you have to learn.
To be your own advocate. I've found that you got to speak up and ask
100%.
questions if you don't understand something.
Exactly. Speak up, ask questions, and if something doesn't make you feel good, I am constantly in contact with my care team about my medication. We're having to adjust again already. I mean, I'm constantly adjusting it, and my cardiac PA has done an amazing job with that. So I mean, that's the biggest thing is having an excellent relationship with your care team. That is number one. If you don't have that, it's going to be a harder road for you.
But life is a delicate balance to begin with, but more so people like us. So it's stay on top of it. But I don't know, kid. I'm ready to wrap up if you guys are.
I think we're at a breaking point now, and there's just so much more information that we need to dive into that we can chat about offline and get a schedule going with this series, because for those listeners out there, I wanted this to be a whole thing. I want this to be start to finish if I can, and then beyond. Not only will I have it on my socials, I know Amy and Diane share it on both Rock from the Heart and Aortic Health Unlimited. Check that out. Feel free to drop me a friend request on Facebook if you do find me along the way. And I usually A lot of times it's friends of friends. If it's a friend of Diane's, I'm like, oh, yep, that's a definite accept. Or a friend of Amy, or anything like that. So, or Joshua, even, our main
The man
off-site engineer technician. How about
keeps the
that?
plate spinning. Thank you,
Yes,
John.
he keeps this plate spinning, right? Yeah. So so please contact me on my number. My email is all over the place. JohnT@rockfromtheheart.org. My phone number, I tell people, text me, call me, however you want to get a hold of me. I am willing to talk to anyone, anytime, as long as I have availability.
Okay.
Wonderful.
So with that being said, John, give us your final thoughts.
Oh,
That ain't
yeah. So
going
this is
nowhere.
so Mike, a part of our podcast is I would give my final thought for the day. I started out our series, or I started out our podcast with a great quote from Nick Saban back in the day. So, but I'm not going to go that route. This route I'm going to go because I knew Diane would love it because she's an Alabama girl. So
Road
the
Tide.
route that I'm going to go is I'm just going to go stay strong, keep fighting. There is always something to live for. There's always something to fight for. And no matter what, life is good. We're here for a short time. Let's make it happen. Let's continue to survive. Let's continue to get the word out there. And let's make this world a better place, one heart at a time. How about that?
Nice,
Exactly.
nice.
Thank you so much, John, for sharing
Yes.
this first part of the story. There's much more to come. And
Yes.
This is the intro. Yeah.
yes, this
And
is
I like
beginning.
our commonality with the air dissection, because a lot of times we get to speak to people with just valve replacements or things like that. But there's definitely a special group when it comes to us, right? I
Right.
mean, we're
Yeah.
a little bit of a different cat. We didn't get the ability to, oh, you're gonna have a surgery in 4 months, or we're gonna watch this, or we're gonna do that. No, they said, get him in the truck, get him there now because he's dead. That's
Yeah.
or she. And
Boom,
Right.
your
that's
life
what we've
has changed.
experienced. Exactly.
Mhm.
We're in a special club that
Yeah.
really nobody wants to be a part of, but here
No.
we are.
But yeah, but it's good.
I
It's
wouldn't
good.
have it any other way.
Yeah, and the people are the thing, as you all talked about. I mean, I get spun out. My internet went out yesterday, and I was boohoo. Damn it! I can't watch this. I can't do that.
I know.
And then reminded, you're lucky to be alive. Screw
Stop it,
You'll live
John.
for a long time without internet. You'll be fine. It'll be back tomorrow, and it was. So, but the people, the connection is what
Right.
matters.
Yep.
So good spending time with both of you.
Yes.
Keep on doing
And
what you
I look
do.
forward. I look forward to our next time. Here, I'll turn my camera back on. Hopefully that it won't cut us out. I don't know why it said I was having issues with the connection. So, and I'm making all sorts of face gestures, and you guys can't see it, and it just drives me nuts. So, no, it's been great chatting. I can't wait for the next time. Thanks to Joshua again for
Thank you,
recording
Josh.
this. We're going to continue to bring this story out, and I think we got a good thing going here. So let's continue it.
Cool.
Awesome.
Peace out.
Yeah, with that, we're ending the recording. Bye, people.